Whew. It's been a minute. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, let me make sure my cable management is pretty decent right now. Not really, that was sarcasm. Yeah, what's going on, everyone? So, it's your boy, the one and only here. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. There go the notifications. So, I'll wait a little bit. NBA playoffs are coming up. I'm pretty excited about that. And also, before this live stream, I made sure to test my mesh network, check the speed and everything like that. I know last time we were having a bit of difficulties with lag. That should be corrected now. It shouldn't be as bad, or we shouldn't have lag at all. So hopefully that's the case here. There we go. I should be sounding pretty good. There we go. So yeah, I mean, at least here in my room before this live stream, I was showing a download speed of about 500, crazy, right? 500 megabytes a second. So half a gig here in my room. And then the upload speed was around 350. So more than adequate for today's live. We do have a lot of things to talk about. Or wait, no. It was the other direction, I think, like this. So first off, yes, I got the Motionless in White blah shirt. If you know, you know. But yeah. So ladies and gents, real quick, I wanted to say the Juan and Only will be going on a hiatus for the next couple months. I know. Some news that may have came as a surprise, but I will be going on several vacations. So what that means is, the live streams, I believe, will be temporarily suspended, at least for a little bit. It would be kind of interesting to be able to stream all the way from where I'm going. Once I'm there, I guess I'll announce where I'm going, but it's somewhere very, very far away here from the United States. So that's really, really cool and very exciting. But no, while we get things started, we do have to announce the giveaway winners for the spring release. So that's pretty nice. And then we have to talk a little bit about the tariff madness that is happening right now in the United States. I don't even really know what's going on anymore. I mean, seriously, does anyone know what's happening? Apparently, there's news that the president just said that there is no announcement for any tariff exceptions, which is weird. I mean, it's just very odd to me that there's very obvious market manipulation, and then no one is stepping in or wanting to do anything about it. Now, wait, hold on. My dashboard is saying that my chat has been disconnected. If someone can hear me, if someone's out there on the ethers, go ahead and send a wave signal. Or say hi, because I'm over here. I'm not sure if my chat is working. It's always one thing. At least we're not buffering or lagging like we were the other day, which is nice. But we shall see. I think we're ready to go. Again, I triple checked everything, but something about my dash just isn't working. Oh, Christine Gordo. Oh, there we go. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. But yeah, the tariff exemptions are happening right now. The market, this happened on Saturday, so it was proposed that the market was going to shoot all the way up today, and it did for Apple. Apple's the company that is going to benefit the most from said tariff exemptions. We also have, let me see, Suzanne Leach, I am here. I do also see all the hearts coming through, and I know that those are from Coley. So Coley, thank you so much. I always appreciate you for making it to the lives. So great. Yeah, no. The thing with tariff exemptions is that we don't really know what's happening in terms of geopolitics. It's interesting because, as some of you guys know, I do work for AT&T, and there were some of my customers were coming in saying, I want to go ahead and buy an iPhone now, before the uncertainty of the geopolitics of what's happening right now in our country. Now, if you were unaware, had these exceptions been going through as planned, that means that Apple was going to be tariffed, because think about it. They got slapped with, I think, 140% on tariffs. 140% is a diabolical amount of money to be taxed upon import, right? people were speculating that iPhones were now going to start costing upwards of $1,700 and that'd be the starting price. That would be the starting price on something like the regular iPhone 17, not even the Pro Maxes. So things are already expensive as they are. I think we all know that, but it's just starting to get out of hand really, really bad. Like, the market manipulation is insane what's happening right now. If you really think about it, it's more blatant now than it ever was. There's been times where sometimes you look at things from the outside in and you wonder, well, how could this be happening? Who is letting this happen? But I mean, it's tough, guys. It's really hard to say. But there's something else new that's happening, and that is the new iToken. iToken is being touted by Apple as the newest entry into the realm of AI. Now, iToken is supposed to be kind of like a monetary kind of exchange, similar to like Bitcoin, but not really. So I did look at some web pages about iToken, and things look pretty exciting. What's even more fascinating is I asked Grok what it thinks about iToken, and it thinks that it's going to be more or less the future. Here, let me ask it. What is the future of Apple's newest iToken announcement, and what does it mean for the future of AI? And then we're going to check to see what it says for the future of AI. Now, let's see what it says, because this is interesting. This is something that really, really captivates me. It's interesting to think that Apple is going to stray away one day from being just a technology-driven hardware company into something much, much bigger. I mean, they've already started to try and do that with Apple Pay. I mean, everyone knows about Apple Pay and how famous it is. It's not infamous. Infamous would be something that's famous for all the wrong reasons. But anyway, Grok says there has been no it's behind from Apple regarding a product or technology called iToken. Apple Intelligence and its future. It was introduced in 2024, and it's Apple's suite of AI-driven features integrated across Apple's ecosystem. So this is going hand in hand with Siri, which I don't know. Siri at this point is just so bummy. Siri never works. Never. And whenever you do want it to work, it spits out some randomness, right? But now they got Apple Intelligence working in tandem with ChatGPT. So, I mean, for anyone who has used ChatGPT, that's useful, but it needs to be integrated better. Currently, it's in a state where it really isn't even that advanced. Siri, to this day, is lagging farther and farther behind the competition in terms of a virtual assistant. I mean, when it first came out, it was kind of ahead of its time for what it was. I mean, when it first came out with the iPhone 4S, the S back then stood for Siri. And when it first came out, it was cool. It was kind of niche at the time because it really couldn't do much. You could ask it stuff like, what's the temperature like out today? You know, or you could ask it, set an alarm. But other than that, there really wasn't much use to it. We do have Chris saying, I want an iPad. Which one would you recommend? I see the Pro 13 is $200 off on Best Buy right now. So Chris, an iPad. The Pro 13-inch is $200 off on Best Buy right now. Tell you what, I'll run you one even better. I would say, yeah, definitely a 13-inch Pro. It's awesome. It's phenomenal for, having that big old display is really, really nice. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to get rid of an iPad Pro myself. I believe it's the 1 terabyte. And it is the M1 version, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually looking at it on my bed right now. So if Best Buy's got it for $200 off, if you want, I don't know if you want a brand new one, you can message me on Instagram and maybe I can cut you a deal. If they're giving you $200 off, I could give you $250 off and no taxes paid, right? So you save even more on the taxes. But Chris, I would say, if you want this iPad to last you years and you want something that's going to be for productivity, in other words, you're going to use it either for hobbies or you're going to use it for work or you're going to use it for school, the Pro models are a good way to do that because The Pro models are just going to be future-proof for a very, very long time. That means that your chipset should be good, and it's going to last you in terms of battery and performance for 5 or 6 or 7 years. Apple's very, very good, especially on iPads, to be able to make these products last, okay? So I would say definitely a Pro model, whether 11-inch or 13-inch. If you have the funds, one of the best ways to pair iPads is with the Magic Keyboard. So if you have the Magic Keyboard, that would be very, very nice. I mean, it just makes a phenomenal team, great combination. The cursor is a lot more intuitive than you would think on the iPad. So that would be my recommendation. If not, the Air, the 13-inch Air, does the job just as well. It's just not going to have as much horsepower as the Pro, but in reality, hardly anyone is going to need that unless you're exporting videos off of like Final Cut Pro daily, or unless you're transferring mass like photo albums from an SD card into your iPad. Then most people do not need the Pro. So there's that. But if you do want one at a discounted price, let me know, because I do have one last iPad for sale. I do this about every year around the springtime. I call it my spring cleaning because that's kind of what it is. And actually, I have the Magic Keyboard for it as well in white. So before it gets listed on eBay with the Magic Keyboard, mind you, the one that I have is going to be the 1 terabyte model. So I think when that came out, it was like $1,500 or something like that, and then with the Magic Keyboard, add an additional $350. Once you account for taxes, it's almost like $2K, right? But I could give one of my subscribers a really, really awesome deal. Clean it, factory restore it, and yeah, just have it looking brand new for you with the Magic Keyboard. So if anyone is interested in watching, or if anyone is going to watch the replay, let me know about that. Otherwise, like I said, it is going to go up on eBay pretty soon. I got to make room for new tech. I mean, out with the old, in with the new. That's just kind of what I do every year. Yeah, that's just it. So, Suzanne Leach. Why do you think Mr. Trump is doing these things to U.S. companies regardless of the products being made overseas? There's a lot of geopolitics involved, and most people, and I say this with all due respect, most people don't have a clue what they're talking about when it comes to the economy and politics. So the reason I think he's doing this is actually a little bit more intricate than most people think. You see, Trump is having issues or quarrels with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the committee that handles how our interest rates in America affect our purchasing power. So right now, we're in a period of ending what's called QT, which stands for quantitative tightening. That means that it is the opposite of what happened during COVID. When COVID happened, it was the opposite. It was called QE, quantitative easing. During quantitative easing, rates start to go down, so the Federal Reserve starts to slowly knock down that interest rate, the federal funds rate, which then means that it becomes easier to borrow money, okay? So more money in the economy, if you can borrow large amounts of money at a low interest rate, that in theory should stimulate the economy, and it does. The issues that Trump is having is that he's kind of fighting with the Federal Reserve because that's exactly what he wants. He wants to preemptively lower interest rates. However, most of the federal committee is, and I hate that it's this way, in the United States, politics have gotten just so polarized that at this point, it's just kind of petty, but the committee is made up of mostly Dems or Democrats, and they are trying to spite Trump because they don't like his policies or don't agree with them. Now, me being a stat guy and a numbers guy, I understand that things have to be done in order because we at least have a little bit of history to base off from past mistakes. If you start to cut rates too early, that might lead to future unemployment, or worse, that might lead into stagflation. You can't fix what isn't broken by just printing more money, so you have to be very, very, very careful about when and how you lower rates. Now, the issue is that Trump, and this isn't any topic of contention, likes to drive up our deficit, meaning that he likes to spend a lot of money that the United States does not have. And this is his issue with these tariffs. He is looking to almost purposely create an environment where there is more inflation so that he can use that as leverage to then peer pressure the Federal Reserve to lower those rates. However, I don't think this plan is going to be executed well. That's just my opinion. You have to be very careful and stay nonpartisan. It's easy to get on Facebook. It's easy to get on Twitter and start to just, absorb this kind of propaganda, if you will, of the left versus the right. And I must remind everyone that we are a nation as a whole. I have some Republican neighbors. I have some Democratic neighbors, and we must come together to solve our crisis right now. And tariffs is just a terrible way about going about it. Not only that, but this is causing a global trade war with most of our major allies that we've been working with for decades now. And it's tarnishing that relationship that we had with some of our closest allies. Namely Mexico and Canada. For some reason in people's heads, a lot of people still think that China is our biggest trading partner, but that is no longer the case. It's actually Mexico. So we have a ton of goods being imported from Mexico because there's things that simply cannot be produced in the United States. One of those big ones, and one of my favorites, is avocados. I love avocados. I could eat them just by themselves in slices, you know what I mean? But now that means that goods are going to be slapped with an additional 10% tariff, and that cost isn't absorbed by the company. Initially, yes, they have to pay it, but companies are never going to absorb that cost. They're going to pass that cost down to the consumers, which is us. So I do not agree with what's happening right now. It's actually silly, all of this. It's really all for show. And when we have a president that used to be a reality show host, it's no surprise that the country is being ran as such. I do miss the days where prior administrations, Republican or Democratic, weren't the media is just every day. Every day you wake up, it's stressful because your 401k could dip 10% just based off of what Trump had said. You know what I mean? So the uncertainty and the volatility with this administration is insane. And mind you, we still have 1,000+ days of this to go. So Mike, give me 8,000 off. Hello, Mike. How are you? TA Tech. Yo. Hello, TA Tech. How are you? And then we have BVS Vera. Hello to all bandaholics. Been bringing your videos while making purchase decisions. That is so cool, BSV Vera. I really much appreciate that. Yeah, no. Right now I'm at a cool stage where I feel like I have a proper balance of my work-life balance. I'm glad that I was able to release the Sport Band and the Sport Loop video. And as of right now, it's kind of a slow point, a mute point in tech right now. But one of the things that I am looking forward to review once it comes out is the new Switch 2. There's a lot of controversy about it. A lot of people aren't happy about the pricing, and I don't blame them. $450 for a Nintendo console. Mind you, this would be Nintendo's most expensive console to date. But there's more to that. Now there's also the whole idea that they want to charge $80 for a game. Now look, I used to be an assistant manager at GameStop. I get it. I don't game anymore. All I do is mobile game. I play Clash Royale and Pokemon Go, and that's it. But when I was an assistant manager at GameStop, I would game religiously. I used to be a big trophy hunter or achievement hunter if you're on Xbox. And that's just what I liked to do back then. No shade on anyone who still games. If that's how you pass your time, great. If it's a healthy kind of environment for you, great. Like with all things, everything in moderation. You can't also be gaming, 5-6 hours every day and lose out on sleep and lose out on sunlight and lose out on precious time with friends and family. So just, everything in moderation. But I don't agree with $80 games, especially if they're going to be digital. Clearly, our world has gone to a very digital-driven kind of environment. Physical discs are not really as popular as they used to be. Duh. Back then, it was the only option. You'd get your discs, you'd pop it into your console, and you're ready to go. But now, if you think about it, there's no cost for distribution. These game companies have not put game manuals in their games for years now. Another cost-saving, method. There's no more packaging to manufacture, so that's already a bit of the head cost, shaved off for them, but they still want to charge you full price. And on top of that, Nintendo is advocating for this really idiotic idea where they're going to give you basically like not like a SIM card, but it's like a little key that you would put into your console, and that's your game. It's almost like a virtual key, but physical, if that makes sense. You put it into your console, and your console detects that you have the rights to that game. So then you just pop it in, and then you're able to virtually download the game, but it's no cartridge or anything like that, right? So you still have to download it, and that's so silly to me. Like, again, $80 for a game, absolutely insane. I do understand, I'm not a moron, I do understand that these developing teams take months, sometimes years to produce a game. I mean, just look at Grand Theft Auto. I get it. You got to pay your developers. You got to pay your software engineers who are writing that code for your game. For a lot of games like GTA, you got to pay for music rights. You got to pay for sometimes character rights, licenses, royalties. You know what I mean? It gets expensive, but $80? I get inflation is catching up with everyone, but $80? Man, and this is one of the reasons I stopped gaming. It's starting to get very lucrative and very expensive, especially for any of my gamers who do play video games. Know that for $80, a lot of the times you're not even getting the full game. Like, it's half the game, and then later on they make expansion packs, or they'll add like season passes, or they're gonna give you like skins and shit. You know what I mean? Like, oop, first cuss word, I'm allowed 5. But y'all remember the good old days? I'm a millennial, and I'm very proud to be a millennial. But I remember the days where you paid your $40 for your game, or 30, or whatever they were back in the day, and you got the full game. There wasn't downloading extras. There weren't no expansion packs. It wasn't any of this BS like things, or what are they called? Soft locked by a paywall. Like, that's the insane part. A lot of the times these companies will sell you that $80 game, and then you have to pay additional money because something is virtually paywalled for you, and you got to pay more money to unlock the stuff that's already on the game itself that should have been there in the first place. It's frustrating just because, I mean, I don't know when or where this madness is going to end, but you got to vote with your wallets, and a lot of diehard Nintendo fans are, and that's the thing. Nintendo fans are some of the most avid buyers of video games that you could ever imagine, more than Sony fanboys, more than Xbox fanboys, like, and the fact that they, as in they, I mean the Nintendo fans, are kind of revolting against them, that's kind of crazy. Chris, the Air display is a big drop off compared to the Pro. Chris, the Air display, yeah, I would say so, because I mean, with the Pros, you get that OLED technology, so like the blacks look really black, and whenever things are illuminated, and like let's say part of the scene is just pitch black, it's cool because you don't have that bleed from the light of a traditional LCD display. Not only that, it's got ProMotion, right? So ProMotion is insane. 120 hertz refresh rate. Everything is just so buttery smooth. Especially if you have the Apple Pencil, that's where you really notice it. It's almost like drawing on real paper. And nowadays they have those screen protectors, like kind of what I have on my iPad mini. You might not be able to tell here, but this is supposed to be one of those matte kind of sandpaper kind of screen protectors. So like it kind of makes a tiny bit of sound if you kind of scratch at it or whatever, but it's supposed to mimic the feeling of actually writing on paper. So yeah, the Pro's display is a lot better than the Air. The Air has that LED display with the backlight, and then your iPad Pros are going to have the OLED technology. And real quick, for those who don't know, OLED just basically means that every pixel gets individually lit with whatever color is present on screen at the moment, rather than everything being lit by a backlight. So that means that in theory you could also save a ton of battery, because if you have scenes that are very dark, then those pixels don't ever even cut on. It's just black. It's pitch black, right? So those pixels aren't illuminated at that time, thus saving you battery. So there's also that. All right, let me go ahead and catch up here. Mike at Suzanne Leach, have some respect. That's our president. Don't use Mr. Mike. Your sarcasm is showing. Use convicted felon instead. Mike. That's funny though, but I mean, it's facts. It's facts. Suzanne, apologize, Mike, for using Mister. No disrespect intended. Suzanne, don't listen to Mike. He's just playing. Just don't listen to him. Jerry Aguirre, my boy with the year. What's going on, Jerry? Hopefully you've been having a terrific weekend. BS Vera. Meanwhile, free-to-play games like War Thunder make millions per year. Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite games, Pokemon Go. It is a free game, but God, I mean, you get nickel and dimed at almost every opportunity. And it's interesting because there's, I'm kind of a data nerd, right? There's studies that have been done when it comes to games who charge you up front, specifically mobile games and games that are free. I cannot begin to tell you. It'd be interesting to see how much money I've spent on Pokemon Go. And it's a free game. You do not need to pay money to play the game. However, these game developers make it so that if you don't pay, then your progression track takes 10 times longer than someone who would pay to play. You know what I mean? So for example, in Pokemon, you're allowed one raid per day, meaning that you can try and go catch a legendary Pokemon. You get one free raid per day. Now, if you're shiny hunting and you like to shiny hunt like me, shiny Pokemon or legendaries have a 1 in 20 chance. That's 5% that you encounter a shiny Pokemon at a legendary raid. Now, if you want to increase those chances, if you just get one shot a day, that's 5% a day. Imagine someone told you you have a 5% likelihood to die in your sleep. Would you take that? That's the inverse though, but let's actually think of a good scenario. If you had a 5% chance to win $1,000 right off the rip, 5% chance, and you did that once a day, it'd be very nice to be able to increase those chances and get more opportunities to win, right? So implied odds means that you would have to do 20 raids to get one shiny. Now, those are just implied odds. That means that it's 1 in 20, so if it takes 20 chances, in theory, by 20 raids, you should receive one. But then again, that's not exactly how probability works. Just because it's 5%, and if you do 20 raids, don't be surprised when you still don't have one, because that's probability for you. Likewise, you could have 3 in a row. Even though you have a 5% likelihood of getting a shiny, then you could have them 3 days in a row, and that can happen too. You know what I mean? That's just how probability goes. Stormy Day saying hi with about 8 eyes. I just bought a first generation iPad mini for $27, and it's the 64 gigabyte version. That's insane. That's a really good value. That's the OG one with the home button. I remember that one. And also for it, I got a brand new smart cover from around 2012 for $13 in green. That's pretty good. Stormy Day, I forget that you find a bunch of these great deals. That's amazing. How to avoid all the mobile game price gouging? 1, emulate an old Pokemon game. That would be my childhood right there. Pokemon Emerald would be my go-to. If anyone remembers the Battle Frontier, if you know, you know. 2, buy a 3DS and get any of the Pokemon games released for it because they're still fairly cheap. 3, buy an old iOS device and load it with older mobile games when they were still making good mobile games. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the future of gaming is just kind of on edge. It's teetering, if you will, right? Is that how you say it? Teetering? I forget. It's just the world that we live in now. And I mean, as an adult, right? I mean, when I was a kid, when everyone was a kid, before you could work, right? You were kind of at the mercy of your parents when it came to video games, right? Nowadays, these new Gen Alpha kids, spoiled rotten, just finagle their parents enough to make them, give them $10 for R-Bucks or Z-Bucks or whatever they're called in Fortnite. As an adult, you have to make some conscious decisions, right? You can't be spending $100 a week on Pokemon. I'm not saying I do. It's just, you got to be responsible with it, right? But the way that these companies just nickel and dime and these microtransactions, they add up. I mean, I'm telling you, if I were to put a realistic, very, very realistic number for how much I spend on Pokemon in a month, I would say maybe $10 to $15. Not terrible, right? It could be worse. Now, that doesn't include special events like the Sinnoh Tour, or what they do every single year called Pokemon Go Fest, which you need to pay $15 if you want to get the elevated, much better experience. You don't have to pay. Again, you don't have to. But the way that these companies kind of put social peer pressure on you, it's just kind of oh man, all of your friends got the pass. Why don't you? Look at all of your friends with 20 shinies while your dumbass only has 2. You know what I mean? So that's just how it goes. But yeah, that would be a very realistic number for how much I spend on mobile games. Now, I know that that's kind of, I guess I'd say that that's pretty normal. I mean, for a mobile game, $10 to $15 a month, not terrible, you know. But I do know that there's people who buy every single ticket, every single experience that comes out. And mind you, specifically with Pokemon Go, these things have been driving up in cost for a long time. There's something called Community Day in Pokemon. They used to be $1 for the elevated ticket, meaning that you just got extra items and higher like shiny odds and stuff like that. More encounters with the said Community Day Pokemon. 99 cents, right? Now it's $1.99. So I guess literally double the price now. But see, these companies are smart. They're not stupid. They know that like going from $1 to $2, most people are gonna be like, whatever. But my issue with all of this is that while everything continues to go up in price, wages have stagnated and more or less are staying the same. That's the problem. I mean, if wages were to keep up with all of this, it would be nice, but they don't, you know? Hey, I got my boy Edgar, the GOAT. If you're in the North Georgia area and want some brand new fresh ink, make sure to hit up my boy. Extremely talented guy. And for the right price, he can commission any kind of painting for you. Just remember to pay your local artists what they deserve. And my boy Edgar is just extremely talented. So just wanted to give my boy a shout out. Stormy Day, my favorite old Pokemon game, that is Pokemon Platinum so far. Platinum was a good game. And actually, that's where in my life I stopped playing Pokemon for a little bit. I guess I thought that I was outgrowing it or whatever, but I was tripping. Obviously I was, because I missed out on most of the Gen 5 hype, most of the Gen 6 hype, 7 and 8, or no, 6, like half of 5, half of 6, and then half of 7. So it goes Kanto region, Johto region, Hoenn region, which is my favorite. It also kind of goes to like when you were born, if you think about it. So like older millennials will say Johto's their favorite because that's when Silver and Gold came out. The, borderline millennial and Gen Xer is going to say Pokemon Red and Blue, which is the first generation. It just kind of depends on what year you were born. I was born in 95, so by the time I was like 6, 7, or 8, Pokemon Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire were coming out. So anyway, going back, it's Kanto, then Johto region is the second gen, then Hoenn is third, Sinnoh is fourth, Unova is fifth, and then see, this is where even for me, an avid Pokemon fan, I start to forget. Sixth, I believe, is Kalos. Seventh is, oh god, what is the seventh region? Ooh, I'm going to be roasted here. I need to look at my Pokédex because I think it's 6 is Kalos, 7 is going to be... Why can't I think? I'm having a brain fart right now. Anyway, I know that the most recent one is Paldea, the Paldea region. Okay, here we go. Unova, Kalos, I was correct. Kalos is the 6th generation. That's when we had cool mons like Froakie. We also have Chespin. And then we also had Fennekin, which these were cool because the typing on Chestnut is Grass Fighting. On Delphox, it's Fire Psychic. Very good typing. And then the OG Greninja. That's the homie. Water and Dark. Very interesting combination. But then we had Alola. That's what it was. Alola. Then Galar. Hisuian region, which isn't a full region. It's kind of like if you understand Pokemon lore, you know. And then we have Paldea. Paldea is going to be the most recent one. So sorry for messing that up for all of my Pokemon nerds. I should be ashamed of myself. Edgar saying Pogo for life. I love that. Stormy Day 4, get a Game Boy Advance SP or something that can play Game Boy Advance games like a DS of some type and buy an original cartridge of Pokemon Emerald for 300 plus. Okay, I'm glad that you say that because, dude, my Pokemon Emerald cartridge is somewhere lost in this universe. Who knows where it is, right? But I'll never forget, I kid you not, as a kid, I had like 700 hours logged on that thing. Like, I had a ton. And I loved that game so much. Pokemon Emerald legit is one of the best games ever created. It's just, if you know, you know. You kind of have to be a millennial or older to appreciate this time period of gaming. This was just the pinnacle of Pokemon. Like, It was the 3rd gen. Rayquaza out there in the sky, like summoning storms. And then you got Groudon and Team Magma over here on one side, like the Bloods and the Crips. You got Team Aqua over here. You got Archie. And then what was the team leader of Team Magma? I forget. It was Archie. And then it was, now I forget. But yeah, I mean, this was crazy. And then I think in this game, this was when I finally felt represented as a Hispanic, because I remember, I think it was the champion in Pokemon Emerald. His name was Juan, Juan, and I was like, this is a mistake. Like, are they saying that I'm going to be the champion one day? Because obviously when I created my Pokemon account, my name was Juan, you know? So I was like, are they talking about me? But no, there's a legit guy named Juan in the game, and he's the champion, I believe. And I thought that was so cool, because I'm like, this is so awesome. I feel represented. Like, my name is in this game, and there's a character called Juan. Anyway, that's besides the point. When I was a kid, I was blown away by that. Stormy Day 5, wait until the Switch 1 gets dirt cheap along with the Pokemon games released for it, and get those except Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Those are terrible. Dude, yes they are. I have Shining Pearl, and I could not for the life of me finish it. And that was the first time ever that I'd never finished a Pokemon game. Normally I go through the regular run, you know, get your 8 badges, and then you go to the Elite Four, you beat the champion, yada yada. I just couldn't finish it. I really could not. These were horrible remakes. Gen 4 deserves better than this, because for those that don't know, us Pokemon nerds, we have a lot of nostalgia. That's part of our character trait, right? So these games are being remade slowly with time. So like the first generation Pokemon games came out like in the early or late 90s, I want to say mid 90s, around the time I was born, right? So I was a baby, therefore I couldn't play Pokemon yet, but they make remakes of them. So like Generation 1 had a remake during the Game Boy Advance era called Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those were the remakes for those games. And it already goes to show those games are already outdated, right? Like, I'm sure there's people out there who still play with their Game Boy Advance SP. Props to you if you do, but not many people do, right? Then the second gen games, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think those were for the DS, or maybe they were for the Game Boy too, I forget. But then Gen 3 had their remakes as well with Aqua Sapphire and Omega Ruby, I think, something like that. Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby, I think that's what it is. Those were the Gen 3 remakes, and now Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the remakes for Gen 4. They have yet to make any remakes, I think, for the Unova region, which is Gen 5, but whenever they do, I'm definitely buying that game. So it is what it is. BVS Vera would love if my savings rate and investments went up as much as inflation does. I know. There are some high yield savings accounts though. Like if you have an Apple card, then you can use Apple savings account, and they pay I believe 3.75 or 3.6% interest. Way better than if you go to your regular Bank of America or Regions, Wells Fargo. All they're going to pay you is pennies, literally. They're going to try to offer you 0.01% on your deposits, which is a laugh in your face. They're mocking you. And if you use a savings account as your main investment vehicle, that just goes to show that you need to become a little bit more investment savvy. And I hate to say it, in my life, I've met a lot of my friends growing up, and this does not come from a position of hate. It's not that I'm envious or hating. It's just, some people would be like, oh yeah, I've worked, 6 years and I've been able to save up $12,000. Like, dude, congratulations. I mean, $12,000, that's great. That's a great emergency fund. You can use that for traveling. But then when they say that they've had it in a savings account for the past 6 years, I'm like, bro, on those $12K, you're maybe making like $5 in interest a year, if that. $5, like, why not put it in the S&P 500? Why not put it into bonds? Why not put it into Acorns, one of my favorite investing apps, and average anywhere from 6 to 8%, right? So instead of making those $5, you could be making like $100, $200 a year on your money. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it compounds. You know what I mean? So 1 year it might be $100 in interest, right? And then, or not in interest, but like in capital gains. Next year it might be 130, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I just always advocate for everyone to be as financially literate as they possibly can. It's very, very important. Edgar says, hey, appreciate it, man. You the man. Nah, that's you, bro. I appreciate you. Digital Marketing Humans, the Juan and Only. Hello, Digital Marketing Humans. Stormy Day. Oh, and also my birthday was 7 days ago, and I got Pokemon Ultra Moon. Well, Stormy Day, happy late birthday. How old are you turning? If you want to share that information with us. If not, you can tell me in the chat to go ahead and screw off. Santos saying hi. Hello, Santos. I do believe we have some new people here today. So if you're new here to the live streams, welcome. I appreciate you. Stormy Day, yeah, brilliant. Diamond Shining Pearl kind of pissed me off because it ruined my favorite generation. Yeah, I would feel the same way. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for Gen 3. That's what it was. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Also, there was another set of Gen 1 remakes for the Switch called Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Oh yeah, I remember those. Also, in Pokemon Scarlet, I got my first shiny. It is a Hoppip. Nice. Let me show you guys real quick before I start announcing these giveaway winners for the giveaway. But let me just flex on y'all real quick for anyone who is deep into Pokemon like I am. Got some decent shinies, okay? So we got my boy right here, Stakataka. Now, this one's named Albondigas. Why is it named Albondigas? Well, because I caught this one the day that me and Coley, she's on live stream right now, we made albondigas from scratch. And if you don't know what albondigas are, it's like a Mexican style soup. It's like you use chipotles in there, chipotle peppers, you use tomato, and the broth itself is so amazing. It's so good. But you make these big ass meatballs, right? And my mom, this was something that, growing up was one of my favorite foods, but it's so heart healthy. You do a mix of pork meat and beef. You make these meatballs. You're supposed to put mint in there, rice, onion, chopped garlic. They're delicious. So that's why its name is Albondigas. We also got my boy Josh Giddey, for anyone who watches the NBA for the Bulls. This one I got when he was making a bucket. It was a three-pointer. And this bad boy showed up, and boom, Josh Giddey with the 3. So this one is named Josh Giddey. If you guys don't know, I like to nickname a lot of my mons. Anything cool aside from that? Oh, yeah, Gaddafi right here. I was watching what's it called? A documentary on Muammar Gaddafi on Netflix. I think I've said it before on one of my lives. It's called How to Be a Tyrant. Very, very great educational show if you're into that. And then during the Unova tour, I got my man right here, Primazo. So this Pokemon's name is called Sigilith, really, is what its name is. And yeah, okay, hold on. Dash is showing me that my MacBook is low on battery, and I am not making the mistake of leaving it unplugged. So give me 5 seconds, guys. All right, there we go. Because last thing I want is for my MacBook to die, and then you guys are just kind of left in the dark. Edgar Hernandez, hey, let's go. I love to see it. But okay, so ladies and gents, I'm gonna pick the winners right now for the giveaway. And since we only have 2 videos, let me go over. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I didn't make a post about this, so I see that our live chat is pretty active today, which is awesome. But how's about this? Okay, my last day for a live stream will be Wednesday, and I still want people to have a chance to enter. So how's about this? I'm going to make a community post today or tomorrow morning probably, reminding everyone about the giveaway. I feel like I could have done a better job at reminding people. So how's about this? On Wednesday, I'm going to write down the names of everyone who's in the giveaway, because remember, we're going to have multiple winners for this one. So it's not just going to be one. I think it's 2 or 3. I forget. I need to go and look. But I'm going to make a community post, and on my last live stream for a while on Wednesday, I'll just announce the winners then. How's that? So let's do that right now, just because I do feel bad, because I do think that there are still some people who would like to enter and maybe possibly haven't had a chance to enter. So let's just do that, just because, and it's also going to save me time, because otherwise I'd have to write down all these numbers or all these names, and you guys know I like to draw them live for everyone to see. So yeah, let's do that. And yeah, we'll go with that. So then that way we have more people on stream. Stormy Day 54321. Hey, you made it back in 5 seconds. I told you that was gonna be fast. Nicole, aka Coley, saying the Albondigas was good luck. I know. I'm telling you, Stack Attack is a crazy one. Yeah. So anyway, let's just do that, everyone. I think that would be good. And then that way, like I said, more people are informed. And hopefully we go out with a bang on Wednesday, because your boy, the reason I'm going on a hiatus is because I'm going on a nice little vacation over to Reykjavik. It's in Iceland. So that's the capital of Iceland, you know. So it's a sovereign country. Very beautiful out there. A lot of scenery to see. So Edgar, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. See, thank you for bringing this up, Edgar. So to enter, all you have to do is watch my 2 most recent band reviews. Just spot the hidden band. Try not to cheat, because the answer's already in the comment section. But try to watch that video. Try to keep your eyes peeled for a hidden band in that video, and then just comment down the timestamp of when you see it. Once you do that, you're entered into the giveaway. It's that simple. And Edgar, I already know that you follow me on my socials. I already know that you're subscribed to my channel, so that's the only other 2 prerequisites, right? So yes, Edgar just proved my point. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I want to remind everyone to enter. That way everyone has an opportunity to win. So Edgar, just do that. Go watch my 2 most recent band review videos. Getting the timestamp is important, but realistically, if you drop a comment, even if you're wrong, you're entered, but you get a lot of brownie points in my eyes if you do comment down the correct timestamp. Again, try not to cheat, because the answer is already there from past commenters, but yeah, you get it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate everyone. It seems like my internet problems have been fixed since last time. That's one of the reasons why I had a delay in live streams, just because I needed to make sure. For some reason, my internet it's weird. Like, right now it's been perfect. There has been close to no lag at all whatsoever, unless someone can correct me on that. But as far as I see, the live stream has been going really, really well. Stormy Day. Oh, I also, a few weeks ago, got the original iPhone 16 gigabyte version for $43. Stormy Day, who's your plug? Like, seriously, who's your plug? Because that's insane. I would so love for one day to make like a whole... MKBHD did this like 3 or 4 years ago, where he reviewed every single iPhone ever released. Now, I wouldn't necessarily need working iPhones, although that would be great. But all I need them for is for stock footage, for B-roll footage, and that way I can go kind of through like a review in time, if you will, like give kind of like a little bit of a historical context of when each phone was released. Because I mean, nowadays, I mean, think about it. We're going to be on the 17, and we started iPhone 2G, then 3G, 3GS, 4, 4S, 5, and 5C came out at the same time. 6 and 6 Plus, 6S. You get the idea, right? So we've just had so many iPhones since then. And then Stormy Day says, it's just my pure luck. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate everyone who was on stream right now. Very active chat. It's what I like to see. And I think on Wednesday, it's going to be even more active, because I'm going to live stream a little bit earlier than I did today. I did take a fat ol' nap earlier today, which was much needed. So sorry about that. But yeah, we should hopefully have a more active chat on Wednesday, given that we are formally going to announce the end of the giveaway here very soon. And I just want as many people as possible to enter and be on the live stream before I head out the country. So with that being said, ladies and gents, I think I am going to go to the gym here in just a second, get my steps in, get some, weightlifting in. The gym is normally empty around this time, so it's really, really nice for me. And yeah, that is my form of therapy, if you will. It's just me, myself, and I, and it's me versus me every time in the gym. And that's how it should be. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people. It should be you and your goals versus your prior you. And if there's anything about the live stream that you take today, take that into account. Just always remember, comparison is the thief of joy. So whenever you're trying to better yourself, don't compare yourself to others. Don't say, oh, I want to be as thin as X person, or don't say I want to be as swole as Y person. Say that you want to be bigger and better than you were before. Or if your goal is to, my goal is to get, more mass up here on the upper body. For other people, your goal might be to lose some weight, to shred some weight. You know what I mean? So whatever you do, just always remember it's you versus you and no one else. Make sure to lock in. And that's that. And drink your water. Don't forget to drink your water. We got my little brother Alejandro Covarrubias in here saying, yeah, what's going on, bro? I'm about to hop off, though, but you made it. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gents, with that, that's it for now. But like I said, on Wednesday, stay tuned for the conclusion of the giveaway. We're going to have 2 or 3 winners. I need to review what I said. I think it's 3. But we should have 3 winners on that day. So thanks to everyone who joined. I appreciate all of you guys. And with that, I'm leaving, clocking out. But I'll see y'all very, very soon. Yurt.